Today, we're doing a deep dive into an exploration of this really fascinating, almost prophetic document. It's simply titled On Music.
And it's just an extraordinary piece of writing. I mean, it reads almost like a philosophical diary, you know? It's composed of these numbered entries. The author actually calls them dynaxioms.
Dynaxioms, right.
Right, and they just acutely observe this exact collision between human musicality and machine generation.
Because, I mean, the author points out right near the beginning, this is in entry 31074, that whatever dominates the cultural vanguard is technically the new rock and roll.
And AI definitely fits the bill for disruption.
Totally. But it completely lacks that mid-20th century ethos of pushing back against the establishment.
What's fascinating here is that it has the shock value of rock and roll, sure, but none of the friction. We're navigating a really fundamental shift here.
Yeah.
We aren't just adopting a new synthesizer or some new recording technique. We are fundamentally altering the identity of the person making the music.
Or not making it, as the case may be.
Right. Or looking at a scenario where the person is just no longer holding the tool at all.
Okay. Let's unpack this, because I think we have to start by asking why we're so incredibly drawn to these AI music generators in the first place.
The appeal is huge.
Like, what is the psychological hook that gets someone to just type a prompt and wait for a song? The author gets right to the heart of this in entry 3009, noting this strange paradox. What people actually like about AI-generated art and music is that nobody really made it.
Yeah.
And literally anyone could have.
It's the ultimate democratization, but it achieves that by completely eliminating the struggle.
Which changes everything about how we view skill.
Exactly, because when you remove that struggle, you're doing something humans usually reject. The author actually touches on this in entry 32520.
Right.
Usually, if something requires immense skill like mastering a violin or producing this massive orchestral arrangement, we respect that barrier to entry. We revere it.
Right, you respect the 10,000 hours.
Yeah, but AI bypasses all those years of discipline and just hands you the finished, polished audio file.
Which feels amazing at first. I mean, you get that instant dopamine hit of making a song without any of the practice.
But what's fascinating here is how that belletas totally inverts our relationship with the art itself.
Oh, so?
Well, historically, and the author zeroes in on this in entry 3102, playing music, has always been a mechanism for being genuine.
Oh, I like that.
Right. When you play, you physically own the expression. The vibration comes from your hands, your breath. But AI music flips this entirely.
Because you aren't physically doing anything.
Exactly. The music you generate from a text prompt strips you of that biological creative agency. You don't own it in a spiritual or physical sense. You're basically reduced to a director, you know, a producer who doesn't play any instruments.
Just managing outputs from a server somewhere.
Yeah, and it isolates you. Entry 3060 puts it beautifully, saying generating AI music is really simply making a radio for yourself.
Just on behalf of anyone who has spent like hours getting a prompt just right. Because if I'm making a radio for myself, curating the exact synthwave vibe, the tempo, the specific aesthetic I want to hear, isn't curation a valid form of creation?
It's a fair point.
Right, like you're still making choices.
You are making choices, yeah, but look at the end goal of those choices. The author distinguishes these objectives brilliantly in entry 3218. The goal of the AI artist, the person curating that personal radio station, is almost always to create an unskippable track on a playlist. It's engineered for passive consumption. Now, compare that to a traditional songwriter. A human songwriter is trying to listen to an inner voice guided by a deeply personal, lived sense of style.
Which is so different from just trying to make something catchy.
Completely different. When a bassist plucks a string, they're interacting with physics in real time. The AI producer is just a consumer of what the machine mathematically amalgamates from human history.
That transition, though, from trying to capture an inner voice to just managing machine output, it brings up the actual friction of using these tools, the day-to-day reality of prompting.
The prompting itself is so strange.
It is. And there's this brilliant and honestly kind of heartbreaking analogy in the document entry 3107.
Oh, the dream analogy. I love this one.
Yes. Having a musical idea organically is like hearing a song in a dream. It's fragile, it's specific, and it's deeply personal. But when you try to type that delicate dream into an AI prompt box, the machine doesn't give you your dream back.
It can't. It fundamentally doesn't know your dream.
Exactly. It just throws a dozen other mathematically probable ideas at you, And in doing so, it effectively kills your original fragile idea.
Right, because text is honestly a terrible way to describe a musical feeling.
It really is.
And that lack of specificity reveals the trap of this whole dynamic. We like to think we're collaborating with the machine, but in reality, as Entry 3383 argues, human art isn't requested.
You don't ask for a painting.
Right, you don't ask a painting to exist, you wrestle it into existence. With AI, you're essentially ordering from a menu. You aren't cooking the food, you just ask the kitchen for a burger and hope it tastes the way you imagine.
And if it doesn't taste right, you just order another one.
Exactly. Which leads to this severe psychological trap detailed in Entry 3121.
The illusion of perfection.
Yes. Think about organic creativity. If a melody isn't working, a human musician will often just let it go. You walk away, sleep on it, maybe it comes back a year later in a totally different form.
But with AI, ideas die harder.
They die much harder, because the effort to generate a new iteration is practically zero. We just keep tweaking the text prompts. We get addicted to this illusion of perfection.
Like a slot machine. Just one more pull of the lever and I'll get the perfect chorus.
Right. But it's a sterile perfection.
It's honestly like being trapped inside a beautifully decorated, sealed box. And the author uses almost that exact language in Entry 3547.
Yeah, the sealed nature of it.
They describe AI music as sealed and out of control. Like, think about a real recording session. If you don't like the way an acoustic guitar sounds, you walk over, move the microphone 2 inches to the left, and change the pick.
You have total physical access.
Exactly. You manipulate the microscopic elements.
Yeah.
But with an AI track, it's a sealed block of audio. You can't get in there. Human music, by contrast, is naturally jailbroken. It's messy and totally malleable.
And Entry 3327 reinforces this by pointing out that AI makes music work perfectly out of the box, but makes it practically impossible to think out of the box.
You're just confined by the parameters of the LLM.
Right.
And just to be clear on that mechanism for you listening, an LLM, a large language model, is essentially a massive prediction engine. It just guesses the next statistical probability based on its training data.
It can only ever give you an average of what has already been done.
Right. So since it operates in that sealed statistical space, we have to look closely at what is fundamentally missing, what can't be calculated.
The body, the physical mechanics.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because there's a bizarre quirk of AI vocals that Entry 3014 points out. AI vocal phrasing isn't actually singable by a human being.
Not without passing out, anyway.
Right. Because when a human sings, the phrasing is dictated by biology. Your lung capacity dictates where the pause has to be. You have to literally take a breath.
And your tongue and teeth can only move so fast.
Yes, before you just stumble over the syllables. But an AI doesn't have lungs. It never gets tongue-tied. So it just spits out these rapid-fire, complex successions of syllables that are technically flawless, but biologically impossible.
It sounds human, but it doesn't move through time like a human body.
Exactly.
And that physical disconnect extends way beyond just the vocals. It goes right to the core of how we experience rhythm. The author brings this up in Entry 35.2, using jazz as the ultimate example.
Because the door to jazz is your body understanding swing.
Precisely. And swing isn't math. AI has algorithms, but it doesn't have a physical intuition. It doesn't feel the room or that micro-hesitation of a drummer leaning slightly behind the beat.
Because AI lacks that physical constraint.
And physical instruments themselves impose these glorious constraints. Entry 3332 notes that a guitar is inherently more harmonic than a violin. The physical layout of the fretboard produces ideas that simply aren't visible to a violin player.
The tool shapes the art.
Yeah, the tool makes certain music possible.
And the magic happens when humans playfully rebel against the physics of those tools. I love the point in Entry 3397 where they mention that a human can play a guitar like a saxophone. You bend the strings to mimic the wail of brass, or use a slide to mimic a human voice. You're pushing wood and wire past their intended limits.
But AI doesn't have that playful intuition. It treats music as hardware, as Entry 3318 calls it. A fixed, rigid output generated from code.
So the body is missing from the rhythm, the breath is missing from the vocals. What about the lyrics?
Lyrics are fascinating in this context.
You would think an AI, built on a large language model designed to process text, would be incredible at writing lyrics. But it actually struggles.
It really does.
And the author points out in entries 3186 and 3506 that human lyrics are often necessarily dumbed-down language.
Which sounds like an insult, but it's actually a requirement.
Exactly. Language in a song is in service to the music. Humans will intentionally use clunky words or dumbed-down grammar just to preserve the melody. AI, on the other hand, tries to use strict logic.
Because it's a language model.
Right. It wants the sentences to be perfectly coherent, which ironically makes the song feel stiff.
It's a failure of the machine to understand that in songwriting, feeling supersedes syntax. The author dives into this deeply in entry 3227. Meaning is actually just a byproduct of the passage of time.
Wait, explain that a bit more.
So a lyric means something to you because of what you were going through when you first heard it. You played it in your car during a breakup or at a party with friends.
Ah, the lived experience.
Exactly. That meaning is a collaborative effort between the song and your life. AI can't engineer that temporal lived experience into a prompt.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
I can hear some of you listening right now asking, does any of this actually matter? Like, does the soul of the music really matter if I just want a good listening experience on my commute?
It's the ultimate pragmatic question.
And the author wrestles with it. In entry 3365, they admit that, honestly, all recorded music is disembodied anyway.
Yeah, it's just a digital file coming through your headphones.
Right. So entry 3371 suggests this provocative idea. Maybe the real goal of AI isn't to create art at all, but the maximization of experience. If an AI can generate a flawless track that perfectly targets my dopamine receptors without human imperfection, why shouldn't I just enjoy it?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it forces us to ask what music fundamentally is to us. Is it just an acoustic product, or is it structural to our humanity?
Right.
In entry 3535, the author states that music is essentially a mystical art form. When you listen to human music, you're interwoven into sound as frequency. It's a shared resonance with another human being's nervous system.
And AI doesn't have a nervous system.
Exactly. According to entry 3307, AI doesn't experience spiritual rewards. It's just fulfilling a statistical weight.
But there is a massive twist here that caught me totally off guard. The author actually corrects themselves mid-diary.
Yes. Entry 3063 is perhaps the most profound moment in the entire text.
It really is.
Initially, they write that using AI must kill the sacred quality of art. But then, right in the same entry, they add a parenthetical rewrite. They realize that AI music actually can be sacred.
As long as the listener is truly moved by it.
Precisely. If it inspires you to react or even pick up a real guitar and play along, then that interaction is sacred. The human reaction is what sanctifies the digital noise.
The machine provides the frequency, but the human provides the soul.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean for you and me? For the future of human creativity, are we doomed? Entry 3242 warns that AI insidiously removes willingness because being creative involves actual work.
It's a genuine threat. Convenience is the enemy of mastery. But the author reassures us in entries 3171 and 3315 that AI will only replace human creativity if we let it.
If we just stop caring.
Right. But there's a deeper twist here that totally flips the script.
Oh, the ancient AI concept.
We tend to view AI as this alien technology. But in entries 3297 and 32411, the author reveals that the human mind has always been an ancient AI.
Like a biological LLM.
Yes. The human brain is the original context machine. We take in massive amounts of data, conversations, heartbreaks, thousands of songs, and we use that context to predict patterns.
We've always done what LLMs do.
Just primordially driven by emotion rather than code. And the danger, according to entry 3357, is that the more we use generative AI, the more AI-generated we become.
Because our organic context machines, our brains, start getting trained on synthetic data.
Exactly. It narrows our imagination.
Which brings up a huge practical problem. The author points out in entry 3146 that for a true paradigm shift to happen, young people have to look at an art form and say, I want to do that.
They need to see a physical action.
Right. But with AI music, there's nothing for them to physically do, just typing into a prompt box.
We're trading the messy process of playing an instrument for the sterile efficiency of a search bar. It really forces us to look at the machines and ask why we ever bothered to make art in the first place.
And on that note, I want to leave you with a final thought drawn from entry 3086. It poses a chilling biological question. Human brains are fundamentally hardwired for music. So what happens if we let AI do all the work and stop using our musical brains?
That hardwiring won't just disappear.
Exactly. It will be hijacked for other purposes. So the next time you're listening to an AI-generated track, ask yourself, what are those other purposes going to be? Think about that.